Commander Zara stood in the medical bay with her arms crossed and her silver eyes blazing with an emotion that humans might call fury, but her people would describe as volcanic disbelief. The human male named Jake sat on the examination table looking confused and slightly worried while Dr. Vera, the ship's chief medical officer, reviewed the diagnostic results for the third time. "This is impossible," Zara said through clenched teeth, her violet skin darkening to an angry purple shade that made the bioluminescent patterns along her neck pulse rapidly. The doctor, a human woman with kind eyes and graying hair, looked up from her tablet. "I'm afraid the results are quite clear." "Commander, you are approximately 3 weeks pregnant." Zara felt her knees weaken and she gripped the edge of the medical console for support. Her species, the Valorians, were an ancient and proud race that had mastered genetic engineering millennia ago. Their reproduction was a carefully controlled process that required years of genetic matching compatibility testing and deliberate conception protocols. The success rate, even under ideal conditions, was less than 20% after months of trying, and this human, she gestured at Jake with barely contained rage, had accomplished what should have been biologically impossible in a single encounter. Jake raised his hand tentatively. "Like I said before, I didn't know this could happen. Your people told us that cross-species reproduction wasn't possible." Zara whirled on him. "It isn't possible," she snapped. "We have 14 different fail-safes in our biology. Our reproductive cycles only activate under specific conditions. We require genetic compatibility screenings. We need hormonal synchronization that takes months to achieve." She was pacing now, her long silver hair flowing behind her like liquid metal. "How did you bypass 4 million years of evolutionary safeguards?" The doctor cleared her throat. "If I may offer a theory." Commander Zara stopped pacing and fixed her with an intense stare. "Human biology is remarkably adaptable," Dr. Vera continued. "We have a somewhat aggressive reproductive system compared to most species. It appears that where Valorian reproduction is highly selective and controlled, human reproduction is opportunistic and persistent." The doctor's lips twitched in what might have been amusement. "Your fail-safes likely never encountered anything quite like human genetics before." Zara felt a headache forming behind her eyes. This was supposed to be a simple diplomatic mission the humans had just achieved faster than light travel, and the Galactic Council had sent her to establish first contact and assess their suitability for membership. Nobody had warned her that humans were a biological hazard. The incident in question had occurred during a cultural exchange ceremony. The humans had explained that physical intimacy was part of their bonding rituals, and Zara had agreed to participate, believing her people's natural safeguards would prevent any complications. It was meant to be a diplomatic gesture, a way to show trust and openness between their species. She had not expected to end up in this situation. "What am I supposed to tell the council?" Zara muttered, sitting down heavily on a nearby chair. "They will think I was careless. They will question my judgment. My career is over." Jake stood up and approached her carefully. "Look, I know this is scary and unexpected, but maybe it's not entirely a bad thing." Zara looked up at him incredulously. "How is this not a bad thing?" "Well," he said, sitting down beside her, "this could be the first bridge between our species, a living symbol of human and Valorian cooperation." Zara wanted to argue, but something in his tone made her pause. She had spent weeks studying human culture, and one thing that had stood out was their emphasis on family and children. They treasured their offspring in a way that seemed almost excessive to her people, who viewed reproduction as a duty and a privilege reserved for the most genetically worthy. "What do humans do when this happens?" "Unexpectedly," she asked quietly. Jake smiled. "We figure it out. Together. Most of the time anyway. We have a saying. It takes a village to raise a child." Zara processed this. The Valorians had a similar concept, but it involved genetic committees and educational boards, not the organic community support Jake seemed to be describing. Dr. Vera spoke up again. "Commander, if I may, you have options. The pregnancy is still very early, and we have the medical technology to terminate it safely. if that's what you choose. Zara felt something twist in her chest. At the word terminate, she realized with surprise that the thought bothered her more than she expected. When Valorian women were selected, for reproduction it was the highest honor. Their society valued children as precious resources to be protected and nurtured at all costs. Despite her shock and anger, the idea of ending this pregnancy felt fundamentally wrong. She looked at Jake, who was watching her with genuine concern in his brown eyes. He wasn't trying to pressure her or escape responsibility. He was simply there, present and willing to face this situation together. "I need time to think," Zara said finally. Dr. Vera nodded. "Of course. Take all the time you need." Over the following days, Zara found herself observing the human crew members more closely. She watched how they interacted with the 3 children aboard the ship, the offspring of crew members who had been born during the long voyage. Those children were treated with warmth and casual affection. She saw crew members who weren't related to the children still stopping to answer questions, tell stories, or share meals. Jake had been respectful of her need for space, but he left small gifts outside her quarters. Earth flowers that somehow survived in the ship's hydroponic gardens, a book about human pregnancy and parenting, and once a handwritten note that simply said, "Whatever you decide, I am here." On the 7th day, Zara requested a meeting with Jake in the observation deck where they could see the stars streaming past. "I have made my decision," she said without preamble. Jake waited, his expression open and attentive. "I will continue the pregnancy," Zara said. The words felt momentous. "I do not know what kind of child will result from this union or what challenges we will face, but my people value life above all else." And she paused, searching for the right words. "Perhaps this is meant to be a bridge between our worlds, as you said." Jake's face broke into a wide smile, relief and joy evident in every line. "Then we will face those challenges together." Zara felt the tight knot of anxiety in her chest begin to loosen. She was still angry at the absurdity of the situation, still worried about her career's future, and still bewildered by human reproductive efficiency. But looking at Jake, she felt something else too, a cautious hope. "There will be rules," she said firmly. "You will attend every medical appointment. You will learn about Valorian child-rearing practices, and if anyone asks, you will tell them that this was a deliberate act of diplomatic unity." Jake grinned. "Understood, Commander." As they stood together watching the stars, Zara placed a hand on her still flat abdomen where human tenacity had somehow overcome Valorian biological engineering. She would never admit it to the Galactic Council, but perhaps the humans' unpredictable nature was exactly what the galaxy needed. And perhaps, she thought, this child would be extraordinary.